hop onto our channel. Here's Tier 1, operating as it should. And our stream is currently loading as I speak. It's on now. Audio is working as it should. Stream's up, the chat's up, we're all good to go. That's absolutely fantastic. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to round 5 of the PlayStation Elite Series here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your lead commentator for this event, and this time we're racing at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, for the Spanish Grand Prix. Constructed in 1991, this 4.68 kilometre, 16-turn circuit isn't exactly one of the most popular racetracks on the calendar. Due to its high-speed nature, dirty air is quite noticeable, and as a result, following and passing the car in front is somewhat difficult. Because of this, the real-life reputation of Barcelona isn't very good, and is often regarded as one of the more boring races of the season. Fortunately, in the virtual world, that isn't so much the case. Over my time as a commentator, Barcelona has created interesting, action-packed and dramatic races. There are a few decent overtaking spots, the main ones with DRS down the main straight into turn 1 and down into the newly configured hairpin sweeper of turn 10 that makes its debut in F1 22. There are a few hazards that the drivers have to be mindful of during the race, such as the nasty inside curb at turn 2 and the cumbersome, horrible chicane of turns 14 and 15. The main area of concern, though, is the incredibly painful, high-speed right-hander of turn 9. A single mistake there will prove to be incredibly costly. Now, before we focus on this qualifying session, there is a bit of news to go through first from last week's race in Miami. Only 2 incident reports for PlayStation Elite, one of which was Pump getting a penalty for speeding during the safety car period. The result from that is no further action from the stewards. The second incident involves Chip and G-Force Zach, where Zach ends up rear-ending Chip into turn 1, causing him to spin. The verdict from the stewards is a 5-second time penalty and 1 penalty point for G-Force Zach, and that would move him from P8 to P10 in the final race results in the main race, I should add. In the Drivers' Championship, Marcus Costa is leading on 103 points, followed by F1 Ferrari Pro. Ferrari Pro had an awesome last week in Miami. He's second in the championship on 90 points. He is 13 behind Marcus Costa. Third is Silverfort in the Red Bull on 81 points. Then it's a 24-point gap back to P4, which is Bags Liddell in the Aston Martin. Plebs rounds out the top 5 on 52 points. P6 is Spicy in the Mercedes-Benz on 45, followed by Hillers on 41, Vengeance on 34, ACW on 32, and rounding out the top 10 is Pump in the McLaren on 26 points as Chip has a moment at turn 3, spinning out, but fortunately not collecting any other car. In the Constructors' Championship, Williams are leading the way on 137 points, followed by Ferrari on 114. Red Bull are next on 103, followed by Aston Martin on 79. They're in a tight battle as I speak with McLaren and Mercedes-Benz. McLaren are on 78 points, just 1 point behind Aston Martin, and Mercedes are only 1 point behind McLaren on 77. So those 3 teams are only separated by 2 points as it stands. Haas are next on 50, followed by AlphaTauri on 34, Alpine on 23, then Alfa Romeo at the bottom of the grid with 13 points. But that's all the news out of the way. I can now introduce my co-commentator, who is once again KD1997. Now, KD, you've had some success here at Spain in the Americas series on Race Spec Esports. So what are your general views about this Spanish racetrack?
Well, thanks for having me again, Lane. Well, it's a love a hate sort of track. I don't mind it really, this racetrack. It's not really the most, shall we say, the most entertaining racetrack in the entire world. It's got some interesting corners. It's got some medium to high speed corners, but there's not very much for overtaking. Like, there's only 2 primary overtaking spots you got on this racetrack, which is with the help of DRS leading to the first corner and that nearly wide open turn 10 that you mentioned in your intro. But no, it's not too bad. Like, in terms of like the just the track in general. I don't like, again, I don't mind it, but it's just like there's nothing that really just wows me. It's just, I mean, it's just a track, just slapped like that, pretty much.
No, I think a lot of people would share your opinion, Katie. It's just sort of, there's nothing particularly noteworthy about Barcelona, is there? You got definitely areas that are very tricky and very notorious for taking drivers out, especially Turn 9. In previous games, in previous seasons here on Race Spec, Turn 9 has been a serious hotspot for accidents. It's very easy to lose the back end of the car and put it into the right-hand side wall. So...
shoot, absolutely. Especially with these cars, like I've actually done a bit of, just a little bit of runs just to feel how it is. It does feel a little bit more trickier. It could still go somewhat, I say somewhat flat out at Turn 9 with these things, but I will say it is a little bit trickier with the cars being traction limited, like we have been saying a lot. And of course, we've said that many times, but we all know that. But yeah, but other than that, I don't mind it at all. And yeah, I've had previous success in this track as well, like you did mention too, in the past couple of seasons.
Season 5 and Season 6 race winner here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Season 5, I could credit Assassin for his little moment at Turn 13. I didn't think I was going to totally be him on pace, but yeah, Season 6, though, that was a solid race for me in general, despite having a crappy qualifying. But hopefully I'll have that same thing. I kind of need that. Kind of need that for this coming week, especially I have had some tough luck this season, especially. I mean, the only good thing I've came out of it was just winning at Monza. That's about it. But hopefully I can make a bit of a turnaround in the mid part, close to the quarter way of the season.
Suppose we'll find out when we get there, won't we, in a few days' time. But
exactly.
Another area that I've noticed, just at the beginning of qualifying, with Chip spinning out at Turn 3, that corner has become quite notorious, especially after a semi-recent update where they changed the tyre pressures and tyre temperatures within the game. I remember people doing a social race here at Barcelona. A lot of people were caught out by Turn 3. Now, in previous games, it's been a flat-out corner, no problem. But in this year's game, the car just sort of gives way on you, doesn't it? You can spin out into the outfield.
And yeah, I've had that happen before in some practices. And another thing I've noticed too, for anyone that's a wheel user, I don't know if it applies to all of them, but I own a Thrustmaster T300 Open, and sometimes I feel like there's no feedback for whatever reason when you're going later into the session. Like, yeah, so like if you're going through Turn 3 or Turn 9, which is like really the areas of concern for me and for everybody, it can be a bit nerve-wracking, I'm not going to lie.
Well, absolutely.
Because you don't know how much, especially with not knowing how much feedback you get. It's a bit inconsistent around here. I don't know why, but it's only for this track I have noticed when it happens to my wheel.
Chip's had a moment at Turn 11. His G-Force Pato improves to a 16.8. He's done that at Turn 11, which used to be a very notorious part on the older layout, where it had a more sharper Turn 10 and a sharper Turn 11. Because Turn 11 had this really awkward inside curb, where you could quite easily lose the car if you rode over it awkwardly. A bit like Turn 2 on this same racetrack. So, but yeah, Bags lost it under traction, it seemed like, coming out of Turn 10, heading into Turn 11. And he almost put it into the wall, but he managed to keep the car out, and he's still in qualifying. That's the most important thing. But, also, as you mentioned before the stream, KD, 20 drivers tonight. Really, really cool to see.
Oh, absolutely. It's always great to see 20 cars on the grid. Shows how healthy the field is in this season. Always love that.
Now, we're currently closing in on the halfway mark in the session. In fact, I think we just passed it. I'll double check. Yeah, we have passed.
Yeah, we're 8:38 to go.
Yeah, bloody yellow flags covering the timer made it difficult to watch. Or see how much time we have left in this session. But currently everyone except Bags has set a lap time. Bags. He'll have plenty of time to do at least one flying lap. One fortunate thing, even though this is over 4.5 kilometers long, it's a pretty quick lap here at Barcelona. As you can see, times in the 1 minute 17s, 1 minute 16s for GeForce Pato, as ACW crosses the line to improve by 0.003 of a second. Not much of an improvement, but an improvement nonetheless, to improve to a 1 minute 17.050. As Vengeance is just up. Yeah.
Yep.
17.036. Yeah, so 14,000 separating him and ACW between P2 and 3. Still a bit of a gap up to GeForce Pato. Pato looking pretty good right now in qualifying.
Yeah, at the moment. What is that currently? About nearly 10.5? Yeah, 10.5 at least. Close to it. Yeah, no, I expect Spain to be close in qualifying. It always is. Anytime I've league raced or as a racer or commentator, I've always seen it be very close. So it's not a surprise one bit.
As Ferrari Pro begins a flying lap, we'll ride on board with our defending champion, give you a tour of the racetrack. Into turn 1, then turn 2. You have to be careful with turn 2. Nasty curve on the best of occasions. Around turn 3, flat out for Ferrari Pro, but you do have to be a little bit careful. You can lose the back end, just like his teammate Chip. Around turn 4, he's currently down by 0.008 of a second. Heading up towards turn 5, which can be an overtaking spot. Sometimes, maybe. You need a really good run out of turn 4 to make an overtake at turn 5, though. Around turn 6, now into this tricky complex, turn 7 and 8. Be careful of that inside curve at turn 8. Really, really nasty. Now the notorious turn 9. Bit of a lift there from Ferrari Pro, but no hint of oversteer whatsoever from the Ferrari. Nice and stable. Now into the newly configured turn 10. A lot more open. Sort of half follows the original layout here at Barcelona. Into turn 12. Third gear. Gently modulating the throttle on exit as he heads up towards turn 13, then into the worst chicane in motorsport, turns 14 and 15. I hate that chicane, I really do. And around the final corner, turn 16, back onto the main straightaway. Ferrari Pro will cross the line to do a 1 minute 17.185. 14,000 in front of Gilles in P8, who was off the racetrack at turn 9.
Yeah, and yeah, I can agree with everything about that chicane. It's the stupidest thing ever. I mean, I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's worse than Miami's chicane. I think that's the worst chicane in history.
Yeah, it's up there definitely at Miami International Autodrome. Turns 14 and 15 as well. It must be a 14-15 thing. Just those corner numbers just producing terrible corners. So
apparently. Well, Bax is about to complete his first lap.
P9.
17.3. Not bad. Puts him in the top 10.
Just over a tenth behind Gilles in P8. So a little bit of a gap between him and the next car. It's a bit of a gap, too, between him and Plevs in P10. It's about 1.5 tenths. So Bag's sort of stuck in no man's land a little bit in P9. He's got a bit of work to do to improve position, but those behind him, they've got a bit of work to do to try and get in front. So,
oh, yeah.
And currently, as it stands, from P2 all the way down to what? P14. All of them in the 1 minute 17s. All of them.
Speaking of P14, Roscoe had a bit of a moment at turn 3, and that's why the yellow flags have indicated.
I see. He's pulled off to the side, getting out of the way of those. Either getting ready or actually on a flying lap. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but that's just the nature of the racetrack now. Turn 3 never really was a problem in previous titles. Definitely is now. Definitely for sure.
But yes. Oh yeah, well somewhat is, but you can still take it flat. But yeah, you just gotta be somewhat cautious. It's easy to lose the car, or even if you have, let's say, a lower front end of the car, it is easy also to understeer quite a bit through that area of the racetrack. Yeah,
you don't want to understeer at turn 3 for sure. It's quite a critical corner on the racetrack. It's very important that you try and get it right. Pretty much dictates the entire first sector, I would say. As ACW is making his way through that sector now. Around turn 3, 6th gear, flat out, as he shifts up to 7th. He'll cross the first sector split. The clock says he's currently down by 94 thousandths of a second, so down by almost a tenth to the first sector. That's not what he wants to see. See if he can make any time here in the middle sector. Coming out of turn 5, heading down the hill towards turn 6. then into the fast left-right chicane of 7 and 8. Gets a nice run through there. A little modulation of the throttle at turn 8, but he keeps the car steady. That's the most important thing as he heads up towards the second sector split. The clock says he's up by 31 thousandths.
Oh, there's a Williams there too. That might have distracted him a bit.
And potentially, it's not Vengeance, so it must have been Costa getting out of the way.
Marcus Costa, yeah.
3 corners remain for ACW. The chicane turns 14 and 15, and he actually bails out of it.
Back. Yeah, because he got distracted by Marcus in the middle of the apex. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's unfortunate there.
I don't think the lap was good anyway, because I noticed in the first couple of corners he clobbered all that sausage grip on the inside of turn 1.
Yeah.
So that probably affected more of that lap too.
Explains the time to the first sector of why he was down by a tenth. So, but yeah, he's got time to put on fresh tyres and get out again. Got 2.5 minutes left on the clock. An out lap would be at most a minute 40. As Gilles has crashed out of turn 3. There he is there, smashed into the barrier on the left-hand side of the racetrack. So his qualifying session is done. The best he can hope for is P8. As Pado's up by 67 thousandths to the first sector. So Pado, he's still got time in hand, even though he's at the top of the table. So Pado in fine form here at Barcelona, has to be said. As he heads down towards turn 7 and 8, down to 4th gear, back on the accelerator. Gets a lovely run out of turn 8. No hint of oversteer whatsoever. Around turn 9, heading onto the back straightaway. He'll open DRS and head up towards turn 10. Traffic in front of him, though, which might distract him, but he's up by 2 tenths to the middle sector. Comes out of 10, around turn 11 a wiggle, but he catches it well. Around turn 12 in 4th gear, modulating the throttle nicely. No oversteer at all. This car looks planted. Around 13, through the chicane of 14 and 15, just kissing each apex. No oversteer whatsoever, but he did ride that outside curb awkwardly.
Yeah.
Crosses the line and lost so much time in that final sector, he doesn't improve.
He also had a car in front of him in that final sector. I think that was Marcus Costa.
Yes, it was.
Well, yeah. Speaking of which, he's on a lap. I noticed he was on a bit of a reconnaissance lap, so now he's on a push lap.
Making his way up towards the first sector split. The clock says for our championship leader, he's down by 13 thousandths of a second. Coming out to turn 4. Heading up towards the hairpin of turn 5. Brings it down to 4th gear. Does he use 3rd? No, he keeps it in 4th gear. Gets plenty of traction at the exit of the hairpin as he heads down the hill towards turn 7 and 8. Vengeance has retired from the session. He's in the pit lane, so the best he can hope for is P3 as his teammate makes his way around turn 9. 6th gear on the exit of turn 9. DRS open now as he heads up towards turn 10. He's up by a tenth of a second to the middle sector. He needs to find another tenth here in the final sector. He makes his way around turn 12, kissing that inside curb as he heads up towards turn 13, brings it down to 4th gear, gets back on the accelerator, brings it down to 2nd for turn 14 through 15. 1 corner remains. Turn 16 as Silverford jumps up to P2 in the Red Bull. Costa will open DRS, cross the line. It's P3. He misses out on P2 by 7/100ths of a second. ACW making his way out of the first sector, out of turn 4, into turn 5, 3rd gear, short shifting to 4, so a bit different between him and Costa as he heads down the hill. As Ferrari Pro has just jumped up to the top, beating Pato by 2 thousandths of a second. Can anyone respond? Around turn 9 goes ACW, back onto the back straightaway, up towards turn 10. The clock says he's up, but only by a little bit, by 38 thousandths. He needs to find a lot of time here in the final sector as he heads around turn 12. Gets a nice exit in 5th gear. Runs wide,
he
though!
went wide!
Spicy session is done. Bags is done. Plebs is done. Nick is on a lap, making his way through the final sector. Currently P12 as it stands. He makes his way around the final corner. It doesn't appear that he's pushing at all. No, his qualifying session is done. Karma, his session is done. Roscom, his session is most certainly done. So that's it. It's Ferrari Pro out of nowhere. Pole position by 2 thousandths of a second. Oh, and it's raining.
Yeah, it's probably just it's just the last bit of the well, the dying seconds, but there you go. Wow, 2,000. That's close. That is very close. I did say it was close. It was going to be close qualifying.
Yep.
And it proved me right.
Yep.
Once again.
Incredibly close qualifying here at Barcelona. Ferrari Pro puts it on pole position, carrying over his fine form from Miami. Look at that. Less than 1/10 separating the top 4 at the end of qualifying. Isn't that something? Ferrari Pro from GeForce Pato from Silda 4. 100th separating the top 3. The Costa P4, then Vengeance, then ACW, Spicy Bags, then Plebs, then Hilles. 3/10 separating the top 10. Pump, Nick, GeForce Zach, Midas, Giles, Chip, Karma, Roscoe Arm, Powersight, and Andre will start from the back. Look at that. Less than 9/10 separating the top 15 at the end of qualifying. Isn't that something fantastic?
Impressive. Impressive indeed. Great effort from everybody there qualifying.
Yes, well done, Ferrari Pro. I noticed you in the chat. Well done. Unlucky, Marco, perhaps. Not much separating the two of you at the end of qualifying. But no, GG's all round to everybody. That was good. That was good.
Yeah. Yeah, ACW, they're not too happy in the comments. That's unlucky, but yeah. But that's alright, you got the race to come.
That's right.
And then hello, Crying as well. I see you're in the chat too.
Yeah, no, this is where the points are scored. This is where you need to make the most of everything. Session counter counting down to the race start. See mediums. I see a hard set of tyres over in Karma's garage. So it'll be interesting to see who goes with what kind of strategy for this event here at Barcelona. What do you reckon, KD? Is it medium hard, hard medium, or something else entirely?
Probably those two strategies you mentioned, medium hard or hard medium. I wouldn't be surprised if we see quite a bit of hard tires on this grid for the majority of the grid. But let's see. Unless I'm proven wrong. Okay, maybe. Okay, I'm wrong.
Oh, well, I reckon it's almost a 50-50 split. We'll go through the order just quickly.
It's diverse, yeah.
You got Ferrari Pro starting from pole position on the medium compound tyre. GeForce Pato will start alongside on the hard compound tyre. Silver 4 P3 on the mediums. Marcus Costa is next on the hard tyre. The next two cars, Vengeance and ACW, making up the third row. They're both starting on the mediums. Next is Spicy and P7 on the hard tyre. Same with Bags Liddell and Plebs and Hilles rounding out the top 10. Pump is next on the medium compound tyre. Then Nick on the hard tyre. GeForce Zach is next in P13 on the mediums. Midas and Giles are doing the same thing as well in P14 and 15. Chip is next on the hard compound tyre, just doing the opposite strategy to his teammate. Karma's next on the hard compound tyre, same with Roscoe Arm and Powersight. And NZ Andre starts from the back on the mediums. So we've got 1, 4, 5. We got 9 drivers on the mediums, 11 on the hards.
Okay.
Almost a 50-50 split, though.
Yeah, almost. Well, to be fair, I was expecting a little bit more in the hard tire range than almost 50-50, to be fair. But it's whatever. But fair enough.
Now, this will be my first time watching a 50% race here at Barcelona. I have watched a 25%er in this game at Barcelona, but not a 50%er. So this is all a bit new to me. But yeah, it seems like it's a fairly simple hard medium or medium hard strategy, like a lot of the other racetracks in this game. Just sort of how it works.
I've raced it once, commentated twice, and 50% Barcelona race so far in this game. They haven't been too bad, really. Not the greatest, but not too bad at the same time.
Ferrari Pro almost lost it on the grid as he tries to get temperature into his tyres.
I think he did that on purpose, really.
Yeah,
he kept it under control. I don't think he'll be fine.
It's a pity though we don't. Oh, as Pato misses his grid box. It's a pity we don't get the starting camera. We have to make do with what we've got here. So it's not the best shot in the world, but it's what we got. So we got Ferrari Pro lined up on pole. He has the outside line down towards turn 1. It's the cleaner side of the racetrack, so he should get a better start. But Pato has the inside line. If he can nail it off the line, he can challenge for the lead. Here we go here at Barcelona. We got 10 red lights. and the Spanish Grand Prix is underway. It appears to be a nice start from Silderford in P3 as the leaders head down towards turn 1. This is a horrible camera angle as Ferrari Pro tries to defend from Silderford as they head down to the opening turn. And Ferrari Pro is in front. Silderford, P2. Then Marcus Costa. Then GeForce Pato. Then Vengeance in P5. Spinning as the two Mercedes in the background. ACW and Spicy Plez involved as well. Spinning goes Karma in the Red Bull.
Oh dear.
Plez down to 20th. Pato and Vengeance battling for position at turn 4 as they head up towards turn 5. Can Vengeance fight for position? He's going to try down the inside here, and he gets in front of Pato into P4. So Pato, shocking start for the Italian, down from 2nd to 5th on the first lap.
Oh dear. Well, another drama for Mercedes. That's not something that hasn't been too familiar with. But unfortunately, they're all the way down towards the rear of the field. Not a great start.
14th and 17th right now. They're a long way down from where they once were. ACW down 8 positions. Spicy now down 11 positions. Shocking start for the Silver Arrows. ACW's on the comeback, though. He's currently battling Pump for position as the leaders make their way through the chicane and back on to the main straightaway. It's Ferrari Pro who leads, Silderfort 2nd, then the two Williams of Costa and Vengeance. Pato is P5, followed by Bags Adele, and that's a spin for Pump, I think. It is.
Yeah, it was.
Pits he goes.
Just gotta step aside real quick. I'll be back in a few minutes.
You're all good then. As Vengeance gets by his teammate Costa at turn 2, he takes P3 away from the championship leader. Pato losing time on those high tyres, and another set of yellows. Oh, it's the Red Bull of Karma at pit entry. He's had some sort of moment. He's gotten going again. He hasn't gone into the pits, though. He stayed out, so I'm guessing he just had a spin at the exit of the chicane. All these fellas trying to sort out their positions. ACW tried to move back up through the field. Yeah, as KD mentioned before, really unfortunate for the two Mercedes drivers getting caught up in an incident on the first lap. Got a ton of work to do. They probably need a bit of luck to go their way. Down the back straightaway, heading up towards the newly configured sweeper of turn 10. See the drivers being very careful on the accelerator. You see Pato not getting up to full throttle until right at the end of the corner, essentially the start of turn 11. You have to be so incredibly patient through turn 10. You can't get too eager too soon.
Alright, we're back. Sorry about that.
That's alright. Hadn't missed too much, fortunately. As the leaders make their way down the main straight to start lap 3 of 33. Here at Barcelona, Vengeance setting the new fastest lap in P3. He looks pretty quick in that Williams. He's trying to close in on Silderfort and Ferrari Pro. These two have been at the front of the field, and they've been usually accompanied by Marcus Costa. Although it's a Williams that is closing in, it's not Costa, it's Vengeance. He looks pretty quick right now. Costa, he's actually looking a bit vulnerable to Pato. He's losing time.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, the top 3 are on the medium tire, so I expect the medium tire to at least be the favorable tire, at least at the start of this race. But then when we get to the core phase of the race, then we'll see the hard tires maybe start coming into play.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As they head on to the back straightaway, you can see an obvious gap between the top 3 and the rest of the midfield. As they head around turn 10, Pato applying pressure to Costa. Trying to create a mistake as ACW gets by G4 Zach. That is for P12. So ACW continuing his charge back up the order. Around turn 13, down the hill towards the chicane of 14 and 15. Second gear, modulating the throttle nicely. Short shifting to third. Short shifting to fourth gear even.
Oh, and as that goes around. Yeah,
oh,
he clobbered too much of that. He clobbered too much of that outside curb at the exit of the chicane. That takes a Bollock process too. Poor Bollock. Yeah, he had a family, but unfortunately, he's dropped down to 17th because of that spin.
Had, I suppose, is the key word in all of that. As they make their way around turn 3. Midas has overtaken Giles. That was for P8. Meanwhile, these fellas are sort of forming a train, not really getting into any sort of battle for P4. And the leaders, bit of the same story. None of them really close enough to attack one another, and I don't think they really want to at this early stage of the race.
No, I think they're just going to just play the toe anchor game and just try to pull away from the back of the field as much as they possibly can. I have noticed, though, at least, that Marcus Costa and Pato, I mean, this is a comment. Ooh, as he makes contact. I think. Oh, okay, never mind. That's lag at my end. Yeah. Well, I've noticed that Marcus and Pato have actually got pretty good sized battery, at least. Well, length of battery, I should say. Which is a surprise with Marcus Costa, because we have seen in past how he loves to save a crap load of battery and then have the good pace. So maybe he's just waiting until the right moment, until the tires start to fade, then goes for it.
Absolutely.
We'll
I mean, the race isn't won here and now. It's won when you cross the line first on the final lap. So it's all about preparing for that final blast at the end of the race. And who knows, in terms of safety cars and whatever else that might happen over the course of this event, it's always a good idea to try and save a bit of battery here and there, not try and splurge it all in the opening lap. So with some drivers that I know, they do like to spend battery, and they're very good at spending it, and they still maintain pace. So
Crime would be like the first person that comes to mind about that.
absolutely. Leaders, meanwhile, they've still got a bit in reserve. Ferrari Pro has just under 30%. Silderford has just over 30%. And Vengeance has got just about 20%. Yellows are out.
Spinning.
It is Midas.
Oh, now another Alpine going for a spin.
Yeah, it's not a great day for the French outfit.
Nope. Well, there goes his teammate.
Yep. Now both of them are out of the points in P16 and 17. Need to try and recover here if they can. And meanwhile, this train's still just nothing happening too much here. No one really close enough to battle. No one really close enough to do anything. In fact, Costa's driven away a little bit from Pato, and Pato has done the same with Bags Liddell. Bags losing time as Bags. He might be under a bit of pressure here from Hillers as they head down towards turn 1. Closes to within 2/10. It doesn't have enough momentum to try and make the move stick. His players overtakes Andre. That was for P14 as well. ACW closing in on Giles. That's heading out of turn 3, up towards turn 4. Now for ACW, he might have pace, but it is so tough to pass around the majority of this racetrack. You sort of just have to be patient. You have to wait for your moment to try and strike. And Midas has gone into pit lane as well. I'm guessing he did get damaged with that spin that he had. Probably collected the wall during the spin. So
yeah, probably on the right side barrier. Let's see, ACW, he's now... Oh, he's got a bit of run here on Giles. Yep. We've got yellow flags in sector 1, that's turn 3.
Karma.
That's for Karma. Yeah. As ACW does now overtake the Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, Karma's having a shocker. That's his second spin in this race. He had one coming out of the chicane. He's now had one at turn 3. Gets out of the way and now drops himself down to last position. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, this is his first season doing completely no assists.
Yeah.
From what I can understand from knowing Karma, so it's not. He's at least trying. That's the least something you can say.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to keep practicing at it if you want to get comfortable with it. As Zach overtakes Roscoe, that's for P10, and Plevs is going to get by Power Sight into P13. See, I had the fortunate set of circumstances when I did my first ever no assist race. It was here at Barcelona. It taught me quite a few things. It taught me it's very easy to lock up into that worthless chicane of 14 and 15. And it also taught me that you had to be exceptionally careful with all of your inputs because they matter. You can't just go ham on the accelerator and ham on the brakes whenever you want. You really do have to think about that sort of thing. It's not easy. It definitely wasn't easy. On my first attempt, I spun out here at turn 9 as Karma actually gives up and retires in the pit lane. After we were saying that. That's commentator's curse, but that's worked a bit different. Oh, that hurts. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That hurts.
Yeah, it did. It did.
I was going to mention, I did finish that race at Barcelona, my first ever attempt. I think I finished P13. I definitely wasn't in the top 10. I spun out like 2-3 times over the course of the event, but I learnt so much about driving with no assist. It is really tough. And I imagine with these cars it's even tougher. Like I did it in F1 2019, where short shifting was just a really big thing back then. You had to short shift a lot.
Yeah, and easy to find the traction with those cars as well.
Yeah, with these things though, it's like a shopping trolley. It just spins on you. So
oh yeah,
you have to be so careful. And tire temperatures and all that other stuff as well added on top. It would not be easy at all. So.
I mean, it hasn't been easy for me when I went from going to wheel because obviously, you know me for a long time. I was on pad for a long time. Ever since I've gone to wheel, though, I mean, of course, it's been a whole different animal. You know, you got it's not easy, and the traction to find on a pad compared to a wheel is night and day, pretty much. As Silverford nearly had a moment coming out of the chicane.
Didn't he what? He was sideways out to turn 15. Managed to catch it pretty well. And coincidentally, didn't lose too much time. I would have thought he lost a tenth or something coming around the final turn. He didn't really lose much at all. So he still found speed even with that mistake.
Yeah. But no, like, going on to... Yeah, driving on wheel with these things. Yeah, it's like you got to be very careful how much modulating you do with the throttling with your right foot compared to, like, let's say you do with your right finger, which obviously you use the R2 with the throttling. And then for the braking as well, I mean, I use ABS right now at the moment because right now I need to get comfortable with the braking. But, yeah, I know with, like, even with ABS, you got to be, like, careful how much braking you use. You can't just slam on the brakes and whatnot because the car just sort of bogs a bit or just like goes into it doesn't carry as much speed as you want it to, so you gotta be mindful of that.
See, I keep ABS turned on because I'm lazy. I can't be bothered turning it off. I'd rather not worry about braking zones. I'll worry about traction zones because they are properly worrisome thing in this game. Traction zone.
Yeah.
So easy to lose the car in this game. So you need to worry about that. But if it's not easy going to no assist. Long story short, TLDR, basically. Out on track though, not too much has happened. Hillers is on the back of Bags Liddell, but he has been for about 2 laps or so. He hasn't really found a way by. Silverford Vengeance is sort of half closing in on Ferrari Pro, but not really. It's sort of just keeping up, just letting the laps tick over. I think that's the stage of the race we're in right now. These fellas, though, are battling. Nick, Powerside, and Andre. I've noticed these three have changed positions a couple of times in the recent past. So there's a battle on for the final points scoring spots out there. Nick at the front, then Powerside. Andre, a bit wide there from Powerside. But he keeps the car on the black stuff. That's the important thing. So head down the hill towards turn 7 and 8. Really nasty section now. Especially with that yellow sausage curve on the inside. Just can really upset the car. And if you're really unlucky, it can spin you out and put you into a wall.
In previous scans of this game, that never was even there.
No.
And but they added it now for this one. And it's also including to not just that curve there you saw at turn 8, but also at turns 1 and 2, they also added those sausage curves like I mentioned. Well, somewhat sausage curves. And then of course the final one, the one at the chicane as well. They added that on there finally. Yeah, finally.
Yeah, all of them quite nasty. Don't touch them.
Oh yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, just don't.
Get close to them, but don't touch. No touch. No touching.
Yeah, you even breathe on them. That's just you're asking for a death sentence. But I'm glad they added that, though. I'm not gonna lie, just because at least it keeps you honest.
That's right, and it's what's on the real circuit. So.
And yeah, that too, of course.
So props to the realism. But still, there are circuits that are a wee bit out of date. Some for very understandable reasons, like Spa, for example. It got a recent facelift for 2022, and a slight reprofiling to certain corners, like Eau Rouge and Radeon, and to No Name as well. But it's not. Oh, and Vengeance has made a mistake. That's at the final turn. Yellow's out as well. That's Hillez spinning.
That's Hillez, yeah.
Missing end plate. Oh, thank goodness the ghosting was working there. Otherwise, that would have definitely been a collision between him and the Aston.
I think he, my educated guess is he probably ran wide coming out of 13. Maybe hit too much of the gas and then just put it into the wall.
It is entirely possible. He was trying to hunt down Bags Liddell last time I checked as well, so...
Yeah, he was.
Maybe he was pushing a little bit too hard. Try and find pace to pass Bags. And now he's in the pits, new front wing, medium tyres rather, being put on the car. And I don't really think they'll be able to go to the end, so he'll have to make another pit stop. Either back onto the hard tyres or onto a set of soft compound tyres if he's got a fresh set, maybe. Oh, and he's just made a bit of a mistake at turn 2. That inside curve, I mentioned that in the intro. That is a nasty inside curve at turn 2. It's a corner where you have to use all of the curb or none of it. You can't go in between ever. If you touch the curb just a little bit, the car doesn't like it at all. This was very noticeable in previous games, and that's Midas spinning out at turn 3 as well, as Vengeance goes into the pits to get off his medium compound tyres.
Maybe he just might have worn them out from when he made that mistake.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you've got to be either committed or just don't
touch.
Bother with, just don't bother with it.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
That's something I've learned from my years racing at this track. With turn 2, you have to use all of the curb or just don't even touch. Don't touch it. And me being the more conservative racer, I tend to just not touch it. And then I make the mistake by turning in too early, touching it and spinning out and ruining my race. That's usually how it works. For me, anyway. But, now, let's see here. We've got a battle between Bags Liddell and ACW. ACW still recovering. He's actually in a semi-decent position right now. Heading down this back straightaway, closing in on Bags. Not by enough, though, to attack into turn 10. Trying to get a nice run here out of the sweeper. Around turn 11. Bit weird how they still classify that as a separate corner to turn 10, but... Yeah.
That always confused me, yeah. I didn't even think that was a corner.
No, it's an official corner on the track map, so... Yeah. Who am I to argue the FIA? So...
Well, looks like ACW's got DRS and he's going to get Bags.
Look at that overspeed. Not much Bags can do about this. And knowing Bags, he won't fight yet. He'll just slide him behind ACW, follow him along. Let ACW do the hard work. And his next target is now GeForce Pato. But he does have to worry a little bit about that battery. Less than 10%, so he's in harvest mode. So he does have to worry about it just a little bit. So... if I bring up the tyre graph, we can see who's pitted onto what tyre. So Giles has pitted onto a set of hards, and I imagine Andre is going to do the same thing in the Haas as these two make their way around turn 7 and 8, as Andre does indeed pit onto the hard compound tyre. Okay, so the pit window roughly is about lap 12 to maybe lap 15, 16 for the medium time.
And then probably, I think probably for hard, if I'm correct, it's like 19 to 22. Yeah. Maybe. Somewhere around there.
It all depends on how much life do you want your medium tyres to have at the end of the race. And also, how soon do you want to use that grip of that medium tyre? Like, do you want to push straight away, or do you want to conserve a bit and wait until the end? You know, you do have to be a bit mindful of that.
Yeah, if you go pretty early before like lap 19, from hard to the mediums, you're gonna have to try to get the most out of that tire before it starts to lose its touch a bit.
Yeah.
As that goes into the pit lane.
Yep. And he'll be moving on to the hard compound tire. There goes Vengeance back into the top 10. He is on fresh hards right now. He's attempting an undercut on his rivals, that being Ferrari Pro and Silverfort. I reckon... Well, as of right now, he's got a gap to Plevs. So he's got clear air in front of him, so he will be able to push somewhat. Just how long do these two want to stay out on their tyres? I imagine they'll be pitting in either this lap or the next one, I would think.
Yeah. And I mean, I wouldn't even think they consider going to medium soft.
No.
That's a bit stupid if you do something like that. If I'm honest.
It's a hell of a stretch on the medium, and it'll be a stretch on the soft tire as well. Stretch those tires out, like even 8 laps will probably be too much. Ferrari Pro is in. Silverfoot follows as well, so they're both in at the end of lap 15. That means Marcus Costa will take the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix, with G-Force Pato in hot pursuit. ACW is the next car. He stays out on his mediums for another lap in P3. Then Bags Liddell is next. Ferrari Pro and Silverfoot coming out of the pits. A train of cars is coming, and that's Roscoe, Arm, Chip, and Plevs. They're going to come out in the mix of this battle, I think, or at least at the back of it. Here we go. Oh, it's tight.
Oh, hello.
Hello, Plevs. How do you do? Through turn 2. Around turn 3. Plevs trying to find a way by. Around turn 3. It's really tough to make a pass. Up towards turn 4. Plevs close. Doesn't go for a move. Probably a wise decision.
Yeah, it's kind of hurt Silverford a little bit because he's in the middle of this queue, but Ferrari Pro, he's got some clear air in front of him, so he can...
Yep.
While he tries to get those tires up to temp, he can, after he does that, try to pull away as best he can, obviously. Unfortunately, though, for Vengeance, though, the undercut did not really entirely work.
No, it's actually...
far behind.
Yeah, it's kind of backfired a little way. It's Midas retires.
In the pits.
Yeah, so another retirement. We're down to 18. But yeah, for Vengeance, he hasn't undercut at all, so he's now just on older tyres compared to the rivals in front. That's Pato pits from P2. Interesting.
That's a bit early.
This is a gamble. This has to be a gamble. He wants to get onto fresher tyres now and attack. That's what he wants to do.
Well, you better push like crazy before those tires go.
Now, he does have the Alpine sitting at pit exit. Look at that, just sitting there.
Why is it... Oh, that's right. Minus's car.
Yeah.
And there he goes, he's gone.
Yeah,
it then ghosted. It was on ghosted at one point and then ghosted as soon as he approached the car.
Yeah.
Very, very bizarre, but whatever the game does whatever the game wants, apparently. But yeah, no, he's got to get a move on very quickly.
Now, of course, he won't have the same level of tyre wear because he has less fuel in the car compared to those who started on the medium compound tyres. So they won't go through as much tyre wear within the same period of time, but he still has to make more than half the race on those tyres. It's going to be a tall order for Marco. But we'll see if it works. You never know.
So what is... Let's see. Marcus Costa stays at another lap, but he is pushing. I see him using battery.
Yellows are out. That's Silverfoot.
Oh! He's on the grass.
Yep.
Rallycross portion of it. Oh dear. Well, that's a big mistake. And Bags and ACW are in the pits. Oh, as he has a twist there. My goodness me.
Indeed.
Yeah. Got that such curve and then some.
I just noticed ACW's car leaving the pit lane. Even though they're travelling at like 80 kilometres an hour, there was sparks flying from underneath the car. For some reason.
Final corner, that's Zach.
Yeah.
Well, before the final corner.
Now down to P16 out of the points for Zach, but a couple of drivers in front of him still need to make a pit stop. He's not out of the points just yet. Still got a long way to go in this race as well. Ferrari Pro, clear air in front of him, starting to build a gap to what is now his nearest rival, Vengeance, in P6. So Ferrari Pro looking pretty comfy at the moment.
Yeah, and at this rate, he'll definitely be a couple ahead of Marcus Costa when he pits, because I think the pit lane loss is about roughly 20 seconds. He'll probably be like 6 seconds behind once Marcus Costa pits. So, but then again, you're gonna have Marcus Costa on fresher, softer tires. Well, that being the mediums, being the case, or whatever happens.
Yeah. But you reckon Marcus is gambling for a safety car out there?
Part of it could be. He could be gambling for a safety car. Pato sets the fast lap, by the way. But if safety car does come out, this would be the most ideal situation for Marcus, for sure. Especially he goes into pit lane for a set of hearts.
Because, yeah, I mean, if he pits in now, he's going to lose a bit of track position compared to those around him. I mean, there's still drivers out there on the hard tyre like Roscoe, Chip, Plevs, Nick down in P11 as well. So they're still running on that tyre, so it can last a while, but maybe Costa can try and stretch this set out and maybe pray for a safety car. They'll put him in a nice position. As no, he decides to pit in there.
No, he bails on that idea. Into the pit lane he must go. But yeah, that's probably medium tires for him.
Yep.
And for iPro, it's just making his way through the chicane and then to the final turn. So, he'll take back the race lead.
Plev stays out, so does Chip in the Ferrari. Roscoe Arm is in. And he'll be moving on to a set of mediums now. Now, where does Costa come out relative to everyone else? Costa will come out behind Chip. Behind Vengeance.
Right next to his teammate.
Oh, it's tight, it's tight, it's tight, it's tight, but they get through. And around goes Pato on the outside at turn 3. And he's through into 5th. Fantastic opportunity there. And Marco took it with both hands.
Wow. Oh, that was a heart and mouth moment there for the Williams pairing. Almost. But well done to keep it out of trouble there.
They both got through. No damage was done. Only thing now, though, for Vengeance, he's got one quick Italian right on his gearbox on medium tyres. And Pato won't be looking to muck around here.
And he's also got more battery, too, compared to the Williams. You can see that flashing red line on the back of that Williams car. Compared to Pato, who's got 60%.
Yeah, Pato's got plenty, doesn't he? Costa has relatively the same amount as Pato too. And Silverfort, check this out, P7, he is 1.2 seconds behind Costa. So, he has a moment.
My gosh!
He's not 1.2 seconds behind anymore. He's now 1.5. It could have been a lot more though, but it wasn't. So,
here comes the Italian here. Walks into the Williams there into turn 1. He's going to have the outside line into turn 2. He gets it done. Nicely done there by Marco.
I think it was nice driving from Vengeance as well. I could hear a brief lift of the throttle as Vengeance bows out of it. And there goes his teammate, Costa, down the inside at turn 4. And he gets in front of Vengeance. Somewhat forceful move, it looked like. Vengeance sort of half left the door open. Costa went through. I think Vengeance had to turn out of the apex a little bit to try and make that work. But, as here comes Costa on Chip. And he's through into P4.
You don't see moves there, but he made it work. So next target for Pato would be Plevs. I think keep your eyes on him, maybe. We'll see what happens towards the... Oh, hello there. Vengeance. He was deep on the brake there. Brakes there at turn 10.
He almost torpedoed his teammate there at 10. Whew.
Yeah.
That was close. They get through. They get through.
Yeah, they're fine. They're completely fine.
Plevs out there still. 21 lap old hard tyres. I reckon he's gambling for a safety car.
Yeah.
Has to be.
But the more he stays out, the more he's going to lose time. And he'll most likely be like, if he does pit, let's say now, he'll probably be right around where Roscoe Arm is, I think. If he pits now.
Costa closing in. He sets a purple first sector as he tries to make his way towards P3. Half a second separating these two cars. Bit of a gap back to his teammate, 1.5 seconds. Then it's Chip, who has got a train of cars behind him. Silderford, Bags Liddell, and ACW still on that recovery drive. He's recovered to the top 10. And he's got a whole heap of positions just waiting in front of him. This is going to be an interesting few laps with this train of cars. Weaving about the straightaway is Chip. Down the inside is Silderford at turn 10. He gets in front of the Ferrari. Gets nice traction as well, so Silderford will keep P6. Bags now needs to try and find a way by.
Yeah, critical move there from Silderford. And yeah, Bags now on the back of, like you mentioned, back of the Ferrari. But he won't have an opportunity to overtake him, though, because he's going to have DRS.
Oh, but he's got to run. He's got to run.
Good run there. Marcus Costas' fast lap, by the way, and here comes the Aston Martin.
Yeah, that was a really important thing, is that Chip didn't really get a great run around the final corner. He didn't carry any speed onto the straight.
Yeah, ACW also tried to look for a move on the Ferrari, but couldn't find any way there either.
Oh, he's using battery, though. Here he comes. Down the inside, he looks at turn 4. Chip fights around the outside, but his older tyres mean he has less traction, and he can't fight the Mercedes. He bails out and slots into 9th position, ACW up into 8th.
And meanwhile, Pato, 3/10 behind Mr. Race Spec. Ooh, as he runs a little bit awkwardly there. And here he comes.
Down the inside he goes into turn 10, gets it done, gets in front. Plevs, on those old tyres, he just doesn't have any traction. He can't do anything to try and fight back. Pato makes a mistake. He was hugely sideways at the exit of turn 12, but he managed to gather it.
His Plebs goes deep.
He goes very deep.
Chicane.
I thought there might have been contact, but no, Marcus wasn't anywhere near him. As they head onto the straightaway, Costa's close. He's deep in the slipstream of Plevs. Pulls out of it.
Look at this. Look at the speed he's got, though.
Insane speed from the Williams. In through he goes into turn 1. Marcus is into P3.
That was about 320 Ks he went through there. With DRS, mind you, with Plevs having DRS as well. Just passed him like a piece of paper.
But now their new target for Pato and Costa is race leader F1 Ferrari Pro. The gap is 5.7 seconds. It's currently lap 24 of 33. So as it stands right now, we've got about 9.5 laps to go, which means the fellas behind have to close in at about half a second a lap. That's a tall order.
Yeah. And they have to get going quick before those tires go.
That's right. That will be the key phase for Ferrari Pro. He will lose time during this period, I would think. But towards the end, those tyres are bound to fall off. And Ferrari Pro will then be in his element on the hard tyre.
Oh, Pato had an awkward run there.
Lost time, actually, too.
He lost about, what, maybe close to a 10th?
Yeah, it'll be close to a 10th, yeah. And he's losing more time down this straightaway as Costa is closing in the Williams.
Goodness me, that 200 miles an hour, that is insane speed down this straight.
Down this straight in particular here at Barcelona, it's sort of a downforcey racetrack. But he's hitting 320 down the straight.
Yeah.
There's some seriously long legs in that Williams. And Costa's using them to full effect, but he doesn't have the battery life anymore. He's got about 20%. Pato, he's on about 24, so they're both roughly even. But with Costa's sheer straight line speed in the setup, he should be able to find a way by. Only trouble is, can he close in on the race leader? Pato's closing in bit by bit. It's now 5.2 between P1 and P2 as they head down towards turn 10. Costa not close enough to overtake here, but he can try and get a run through the final sector and overtake at the beginning of lap 26 and try and find a way past Pato. Oh, but he makes a mistake there at 12. A small wiggle that costs him a few hundredths of a second as they go through the chicane and around the final corner to end lap 25 and begin 26. Absolutely. As Plebs pits, he's in.
Yep.
He's gone as long as he could. He gambled, and it hasn't paid off.
Quite unfortunate. But, yeah, this is pretty much the phase, really, is that, or what they have to do is, close in by what, maybe 7 or 8 tenths a lap if they want to get to the race leader quickly. ACW are taking Silverfort. What's going on here? Oh, that explains it. Silverfort's off the road.
Spinning at turn 3.
Yeah, he's off the road. Yeah, he spun at turn 3. Exited somehow. I wonder if he was helped.
I'm not sure, but I think Plebs might have had a moment coming out of the pit. So with yellow flags down the main straightaway. Oh, Hilles. He had a run. He had a look to the inside, but Plebs sort of covered it off.
They're close to one. Remember the last time?
Oh!
My gosh! I was gonna say, do you remember the last time these two were close to one another?
Yeah, I do remember. Plebs was sent to the Shadow Realm at the Ascari chicane. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. So yeah, that was tight stuff between these two, and it's still tight. It's not over. Here comes Hilles. He's got DRS. Doesn't have battery though to attack fully. Trying to look around the outside, but Plebs covers well at turn 10. Giles is right behind this as well. In P11, Plebs using all of the racetrack to try and open up the right-hander, to try and carry as much speed as possible. It's worked a little bit. He's gained about half a tenth on Hilles as they head down through the chicane. Yeah, Hilles just does not have the battery to try and attack down the main straight into turn 1. He's just not going to be close enough to attack. So
yeah, he won't have the grip either.
No, not compared to Plebs, no.
Nope.
So ACW closing in on Bags Liddell as well. Gap 6/10 between these two cars. Liddell, his tyres are steadily aging, those medium compound tyres. They won't feel bad, of course, but they won't feel as great as what they initially did. Bags holding his own in a fine P5 as it stands. Vengeance, P4. Then Marcus Costa, who is still behind Pato. So Pato's still got pace in that AlphaTauri, and he's keeping Costa at bay. But they're not closing in on the race leader. The gap's still about 4.5 seconds between the top two.
Yeah, it hasn't really changed much.
No.
It's just been hovering over 4.5 seconds, and that's about it. Well, it's closing a bit. Oh, his Pato's had a moment there. He went sideways there, the exit of the chicane. Well, at least that's what it looked like to me at my end.
Yep.
But, yeah. He's got
Here
a
comes Marcus too.
Look
the
at
speed
the
in the...
speed!
Oh, he goes to the
grass!
grass! Down the inside, he looks at turn 1, but Pato has the inside line at 2. That turns to the outside at turn 3. An audacious manoeuvre from Marcus Costa as he takes P2 on the grass of all places. Pato had the inside covered. He had all of it covered. Costa didn't care. He went to the grass. Oh, and he almost loses it there at turn 5 as well. Very sideways, but gathers it up nicely. Oh, Pato was not... None of us were expecting that.
No. Oh, my goodness me. Wow. That is the... If I've ever seen an overtake in Spain, that's definitely an overtake.
That's almost as good as a Seb dummy from, what was it, 2017? When he did that at turn 1?
Something like that, yeah, 17 on Hamilton.
Yeah. That was insane. Took to the grass and everything. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I was getting prepared for a move around the outside. No. Apparently not.
I don't think this is over yet either.
Oh, well, Pato demonstrated decent pace. He kept Costa at bay for a bit, and he's still behind Costa. So, yeah, it's definitely not over as ACW, down the inside of turn 1, in a more conventional fashion, takes P5 from Bags. As Plebs sets a new fastest lap down in P8 on those fresh soft tyres. He's going to be rapid. He's just taking that fastest lap point.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to keep... He's going to keep it there, I think, unless he, for some reason, makes a excuse me. For some reason, makes a mistake.
Out in front, Ferrari Pro managing his lead beautifully. Still about 4.5 seconds, and although Marcus has got some serious straight line speed, he doesn't have quite enough speed to challenge the Ferrari. He hasn't really closed in.
Nah, so. I think we've now gone to the phase where the mediums are now the not really the best tire anymore. It's now the hard tire's turn to be the best tire in this part of the cycle.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you.
Oh, Pato! Oh no!
He
made contact with someone! Yeah, he made contact with Vengeance, their exit of the chicane. I don't know if Vengeance got damaged from that, but he hit the back of him when he hit the sausage curb.
Oh,
and
dear.
Here comes ACW. ACW is closing. Well, not by enough to attack, but...
So Pato spun it in the chicane, and then Vengeance collected it? Or...
Yeah, he tagged the back of him.
Interesting.
Big yellow flags.
GeForce Zach had a moment at turn 12. Well, that's something, isn't it? Pato throwing away a podium through the chicane.
I can't see anything wrong with Vengeance's car, so he got away with it. Or was it Costa? I think it was one of the Williamses. I know that. Well, either way, none of them got damage. So I might have Vengeance actually. Yeah, it was. But yeah, no, he's lucky. He's very lucky. But that's also allowed ACW now to close in.
Yeah, now within a second of Vengeance in P3. As you can see as well, no time penalties whatsoever for any... Well, I just said that, Andre, and now you get one.
Well, you shut up when the commentators go.
That's alright, he's just retired from the session now, so I'm back to being right.
Alright, you've been spared. I'll speak of someone that won't be spared in a minute. And that would be Vengeance with ACW on the trumpet.
Yeah, closing in with the help. With the help of DRS, he will be closing in, but he needs to be quick throughout the lap. He can't just have DRS gain him time. He needs to be quicker everywhere else, so he can continue to gain lap after lap, corner after corner, so he can apply pressure to Vengeance on what I would imagine would be the final lap of the race. He's not in a position to attack here, and I don't really think he'll be in a position to attack on the second last lap. So I think if he has any opportunity to pass, it will be on the final.
Yeah. I think... Oh my goodness, Andre! Oh my god, that was the AI car! It was in the middle of the corner at turn 3, and Charles and Gilles nearly collected him!
This game is astonishing. The AI dawdles about the circuit. Hilles gets a 3-second time penalty. But the AI dawdles about the circuit, retired out of the race, drives in the middle of the road, drives in front of 3 cars. Somehow they all avoid it, and then parks up. You know, we've asked this for ages now, for cars... Oh, contact between Hilles and Giles there. But we've asked for ages now that the cars despawn in the pit lane when you retire them in the pit lane. And they still don't. As Pato passes Bags Odell, that is for P5. It's... You know, he's recovering, but it's not where he wants to be. He was fighting for a podium. He's now fighting for a top 5.
Yep, that's all he's going to get. But this battle for the podium, though, will come down to the last lap.
Yeah, it looks like it. And still, I don't think ACW can attack this lap. He has to leave it to the last lap to go for it. He'll be in the best position then, but he needs to get this lap right. For Vengeance, he needs to get this lap right. He cannot afford a single mistake through this final sector. He cannot let ACW get a sniff at him. Because as it sits right now, it's a Williams double podium, which would be huge for the Constructors' Championship. These two have performed excellently over the course of this season when they've both been here. So this will be another huge result. But Vengeance, he's got so much pressure on him as ACW is on his gearbox. Meanwhile, Ferrari Pro heads out to the final corner to begin the final lap. The final 4.6 kilometers of this race, and he's got a huge margin in hand. He does not need to push at all. He just needs to get it to the finish. Here comes ACW closing in, but not by enough to attack into turn 1. Yellows are out. It's Pump, I believe, spinning out at turn 9.
Oh, he's got a puncture. He's got a puncture.
Oh.
Rear right puncture.
Yeah, look at that. Does too. So he needs to be careful out on track. That car will not be easy to drive with that puncture.
He's done 30 laps on those tires, mind you.
Hey, really? Yes, whiz, he's done 30 laps on the damn things. Look at that. As Giles overtakes Hilles, that was for P10. Oh,
Chip might follow suit. No, never mind. Not close enough. Yeah, 30 laps on the damn things.
Oh, he did well on those tires then.
Yeah. Well, at least he tried.
Down the back straightaway we go for the final time. ACW closing in. Oh, he tries to send it in deep, but he's not close enough. Oh, and he loses the back end a little at turn 10 as well. That's it. That's his chance for the podium over. ACW won't be finishing on the podium here today in Spain, but the man who was going to stand on the top step of that podium will be Ferrari Pro. He goes back-to-back. He won in Miami. He wins here in Spain. It's a double podium finish for the Williams as well. Costa from Vengeance. Then it'll be ACW finishing just under 4 tenths behind in P4. Pato, oh, he'd be disappointed for sure. It was a podium. It was almost a certain podium. P5 after that mistake at the chicane. P6 for Bags. Silverford crashing out of the line in P7. Then Plebs, Roscoe Arm, and it'll be Giles completing the top 10 for Alfa Romeo. Behind him will be Gilles. Not quite. Gilles demoted down 2 positions thanks to a penalty. So it'll be Chip from Nick, then Gilles, G4 Zach, and our final point scorer will be Power Sight in P15. There we are. Not bad.
Yeah. But probably the highlight of the race for me was Costa's move on Pato.
I've never seen that before.
A highlight. Neither have I. Until today.
Went to the grass to get the move done. And he closed in as much as he could. But he couldn't catch up to Ferrari Pro. 2.8 seconds separating the top 2. At the end of this race. Just be waiting on Pump, our final finisher. After a puncture, he was looking at a potential points finish. P16 would be his final result.
Yep, slams the car on the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a stack of cars. Hello. Yes, little car park there.
Driver of the day given to Plebs. We'll see how he fared in the final results screen. But for now, it's the winner's corridor of celebration. It's back-to-back. For Ferrari Pro. He won the sprint and the main race at Miami. Looked in fine form there, and he's continued that form here at Catalunya. It was a fine drive. Got pole position, not by much, mind you, by 0.02 of a second. But he drove a perfect race out there, and he takes the win here in Spain. It's a double podium finish for Williams. A huge boost to them in the constructors. Costa in second. Vengeance will finish in third.
Oh, it wasn't too bad. Not a bad race at all.
No, quite right. See, there's a stark contrast between Spain in the game and Spain in real life. There is a big difference between the two tracks. And Spain in the virtual world, it's just better. Long story short, it's just better. But the unofficial results of the Spanish Grand Prix. Ferrari Pro is your race winner. Marcus Costa in second, followed by Vengeance in third. ACW 4, followed by Pato, Bag, Silverford, Plebs, Roscoe Arm, and Giles rounds out the top 10. Then we got Chip, Nick, Gilles, Zach, Powersight rounding out the point scorers. Pump and Spicy, our final 2 finishes, 3 retirements. Andre, Midas, and Karma. Fastest lap for Plebs as well. Just a note. There we are. Now we'll get to the virtual showroom. We'll invite top 3 in. We'll have a nice little chit chat about what happened over the course of this Grand Prix. Let's see here. Lead session. This will take us a little while. Old JED things. It takes a while to load things, unfortunately. Let's see here. Virtual showroom. There we are. And Scuderia Ferrari. Hopefully it'll let me select it soon. There we are. Right, I'll be back in a few moments' time. We'll invite the top 3 in. Now let's see here. Party settings. Invite players. Look at all my friends. Where are they? Ferrari Pro, there you are. I'm looking for Marcus, and I'm looking for Vengeance. There you are. We'll just wait for the top 3 to arrive. Get the interviews underway. Hopefully it won't take too long. I'll double check that their audio is working accordingly. Do. Hello, Ferrari Pro. You'd be pretty pleased, I'd imagine.
Bro, that's like the best race I've ever driven.
No, I made mention of that in the podium. It looked like a perfect race out there for you. So.
Oh man, that couldn't have played better into my hands.
Oh. Yeah, we'll just be waiting on the 2 Williams drivers as well. But yeah, no, you've almost got the whole Grand Slam. You got pole. Ended up winning the race. Didn't quite get fastest lap though. Unfortunately, a few soft runs took that away. So.
Oh man, I wanted to get that fastest lap, but bro, I'm like so happy about the pole. Like, oh my god. I struggle a lot in qualifying. Like I've always have.
Yep.
And like I don't know where I pulled that out from, man. Like, I'm so happy with that pole.
Hello Costa and hello Vengeance. How do you two do?
Very well, thanks.
We'll have some things to talk about with you two, that's for sure. There was some good stuff out there today. But no, thank you all 3 of you. Can't speak. Thank you to all 3 of you for joining us here today to questions. We'll go from 3rd and we'll make our way up as usual. So we'll start with you, Vengeance. Not a bad drive from you today, I'd say. It looked like you kept pretty much out of trouble. Was that the case on your end?
Yeah, I had no incidents there. Just managed to keep it clean.
We'll start off with qualifying, shall we? You ended up putting it P5 at the end of qualifying. Yeah. Were you happy with that? Was there more on the table?
No.
Yeah, I figured.
Nah, on my final run was about 3/10 up, so I was on for pole, but unfortunately I made a really, really stupid mistake, which made me invalidate, but...
Running wide, cutting a bit too much?
Yeah. I just ran a bit wide. Just had a lock up and...
Yikes.
Really stupid mistake, so...
Hey man, we all do it.
P5 is... It's alright, but... Yeah.
But no, man, we all do it. It happens a lot, unfortunately. But, no, P5, and how was the race start on your... It was a bit tough from my camera view because the game shafted me. It gave me a worthless camera angle, so I didn't get a great view of the start. So how was it on your end?
Originally I was playing the start hards, but
yep.
I decided to go meds to be aggressive at the start and try and get past Marcus and Pado, who were on the hards, which I managed to do.
Yep.
Managed to get past them both within a couple of laps, and I think I was keeping up with Ferrari Pro and Silverfoot.
Yeah. In
the pack, and I remember, I think it was about lap 12, I had a little spin which cost me quite a lot of time. But yeah, I pitted quite early for the hards, and yeah, had a pretty decent pace, and yeah, bring it home in P3, which is, it's not a bad result. I'm pretty happy with it.
Fair enough. So. But yeah, we did capture that small moment you had. I think it was coming out of that chicane. Just gassed it up a bit too much, ran on the sausage curb maybe on the outside.
It's just lost the car.
Yeah.
It's just the tyres weren't feeling great. Just a bit too aggressive with the throttle, which unfortunately cost me, but it's what it is, I guess.
It's what these cars are like, aren't they? You just have to be careful and focused all the time.
Especially in the low speed. These cars are very, very tricky.
But no, you pitted early. Were you hoping for a bit of an undercut on those who you were with?
Yeah, I was. I was trying to... Well, my tyres were pretty much gone, but I went for the undercut, hoping I could gain some time, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. But yeah, pace felt really good in those hards. So,
Yep.
but yeah, it was a pretty quiet race. But
Yes, it sort of just seemed like you were sticking with the top two throughout the beginning, had that small mistake, and tried to recover it with the pit stop. And yeah, you were just, even after the pit stop, you were still behind by a fair bit.
yeah,
But you covered quite nicely after that.
yeah, there's just too many mistakes today. And I've got to work on that, like in quali, with the invalidation and in the race to that spin. Which, yeah, I just got to work on that. And,
I think as well, being a relatively difficult track to pass, and with it being so tight between everybody, those little mistakes really do add up. So
yeah, they do.
it's really unfortunate that something that small can affect so much, but yeah, it kind of shows today just how fine the margins are. So unlucky with that, but still great recovery to P3. So great points to put on the board.
Which is...
KD, have you got anything to ask Vengeance?
Well, if you, let's say, didn't make any of those mistakes, before you lost like a couple of seconds, were you gonna try to go for an undercut attempt, or
No.
would you?
No, I was gonna... Maybe... I was thinking of an overcut at the time, but... Yeah,
Okay.
I decided to risk it with the undercut, which didn't work. But I think if I didn't make that mistake, I could have been fighting with Ferrari for it potentially, but... Yeah. It is what it is.
Unfortunately, these things happen. So, but one final question for you, Vengeance. Next week, we're heading over to Marina Bay for the Singapore Grand Prix.
Oh wow, strong track for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Looking forward to it then.
Yes, I am. I feel very confident there, so I reckon I can get a win.
Oh,
Let's see.
I like it. I like that. I like
That's
the
very good
confidence.
determination.
Well, I'll keep an eye out for you next week then. No pressure, of course. Just best of luck for next week. But congrats, man, on the recovery for P3. Well done.
Yeah, cheers.
We'll move on to your teammate, Marcus. P2, mate. P1 was a little bit too far in the way in the end, so I would guess that you're pretty happy with the P2 finish.
Yeah, I'm certainly happy considering the circumstances. That's quite a good amount of points and a good gain in the race considering my poor qualifying.
Yeah, P4 at the end of quali. Not happy with it.
No, very disappointed. I was hoping for a front row, but top two row was okay, but the front row I felt was definitely there because the top four was split by under a tenth.
Yep, it was kind of nuts at the end of qualifying, how tight everything was. But what do you reckon you could have put on the table? How much time do you think was out there?
Oh, certainly if I had the chance to do that again, I could definitely find the 800ths of a second, but then I'm sure the rest, if they had an extra lap, they'd improve as well, so
Maybe.
we'll never know.
But no, P4 for you at the end of qualifying, second row start. And a bit like with Vengeance, I didn't get to see too much of the initial start. So how was it for you in the run down to turn one?
Considering I chose to go on the alternate strategy and start on the hards, my initial start was actually quite strong and I managed to make it up to P3 and pass Pato around the outside through turn one. But then obviously those mediums off the start were unbelievably quick and I just couldn't keep Vengeance behind, so I just had to let him go, and then the top three unfortunately ran away and got about a 6-second gap to me.
And that was going to be really, really difficult to gather that all up. It looked pretty obvious from our point of view how difficult it was going to be. But, it seemed like at the start you were sort of in your normal battery conservation mode as usual. You had more battery than a lot of other drivers out there. Was it just about ticking the laps over for you at that sort of beginning phase of the race to get up to your pit window?
Yeah, certainly. I knew that first stint on the hards was going to be a massive struggle compared to the guys starting on the mediums, but I know that I'd be able to pull it back in the second stint. So I just drove quite conservatively, but just consistently, and also pushing at the same time just to get the laps down.
Yeah.
And then get to the medium stint and then work from there.
But no, you and Pato sort of drove away from that little pack you were in. You pitted at about lap 19 or so, I want to say. if I recall correctly. It was somewhere in that zone.
Yeah.
Pato pitted
about
before
3
you.
laps after. Yeah, 3 laps after Pato.
Yeah, Pato tried an
He got
undercut.
the undercut. He did. He got it.
Yeah, he got in front of you, and you two, holy cow, you two. We caught the pass that you made down the main straight into one. Could you take us through that?
Oh wow, that was yeah, it was.
That was almost Vettel-esque, right there.
Yeah, it was. I was gonna send a dummy to the outside, and then I just decided to just go off the track, half off the track. Actually, it was a legal overtake from, I believe, from when I was sitting in the cockpit. It felt legal, but it also felt quite arrogant. It felt like quite an arrogant overtake.
I mean, we certainly weren't expecting it. To just see that, I was riding on board with Pato. I was fully expecting you to go to the outside, and you moved to the inside onto the grass. It was fantastic, though. You managed to pull it off at the end. You must have been pumped by that too.
Oh yeah, it was brilliant. I honestly was approaching that not expecting much of it. I know that he got a little snap of oversteer outside of turn 14, and I knew that was my chance to get him. I saved up about 40% battery. He was just waiting for the laps to tick down and just waiting for him to make a small error out the final corner, because I actually trimmed a lot of downforce for the race, or not for the race, but just for my setup overall, compared to what the quote-unquote optimal setup was, which most other people were running. I was running about 10 clicks below, so I knew my straight line speed and battery recollection would be much stronger than everyone else's, so I was able to push a little bit harder. But yeah, I was approaching that overtake, and I obviously knew he was just hugging the inside, and I was just like, okay, if I try to go around the outside, I feel like I may get squeezed out, and it's a bit risky. And I was thinking of just staying behind, but my closing speed was quite strong, and I was approaching him well and truly before the corner, and then I just, just
committed to it.
Yep, committed, fully committed. I couldn't half-ass that one.
No.
And you were reaching speeds of about 320 Ks, if I recall correctly, when you were behind Pato. What was your wings exactly?
I was running 38 on the front and 35 on the rear, so quite a bit below what most other people were running.
Oh, goodness.
That was insane.
All right.
Because, KD especially picked up on just the sheer straight line speed that you had heading down towards turn 1. He was saying you were reaching well over 200 miles an hour down into the braking zone. And that was plainly obvious when you closed in half a second down the straight and then passed to the inside of turn 1 on the grass. So that's going to be up there as the overtake of the season, for sure. Because that was something. But no, you got in front, and Pato had a spin behind you. He let you go. And now it's just you trying to catch up to Ferrari Pro, and there just wasn't enough laps remaining.
Yeah, I caught him by about a second and a half in the last lap because I saved up a lot of battery and just tried to push for potential fastest lap, but it certainly was not there with my tyres.
Being as cooked as they were at the end of the race.
They were quite old. They're at about 40-50% wear, and I feel like if there was maybe 5 more laps, I feel like I could have pushed on, maybe gotten a little bit closer.
Yeah.
But yeah, he drove a great race, kept it clean, had a really good strategy. GG's to him.
But KD, have you got anything else to ask Marcus?
Nah, nothing else really, but other than your overtake was just the craziest overtake I've ever seen at that racetrack. That's definitely for sure.
That was
but
epic.
it was. But no, good job, and of course you should be happy with double podium for Williams. At least they'll help you. As Lane pointed out in the stream, goodness, I can't speak either. Help you out in at least the Constructors' Championship. I know, we've had those moments with the commentators, so, yeah.
Yeah, we keep stumbling over our words towards the end of the stream. But one final question for you, Marcus. Next week we're heading over to Marina Bay. Your teammate seems confident. How do you feel heading into next week?
Last time I had a league race around Singapore was actually a few weeks ago, and I managed to... I'm not speaking into the future, but I managed to out-qualify Vengeance, and pace felt pretty good.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm in same sort of position as him. I feel quite strong, and I guess we'll see in about 7 days' time when we get there.
Good to hear that the confidence is high then heading into next week. So best of luck heading into next week. But no, congratulations on your P2 finish and fantastic overtake as well. That was nuts. Well done.
Cheers, appreciate it.
Ferrari Pro. Back to back, my guy. How's it feel?
Oh, bro, I'm just so happy with that, man. It's like I was saying before the actual interviews, like I'm like more happy about the pole though, because I didn't really expect that. I don't know how I pulled that off.
Yeah, sometimes they can just come out of nowhere, can't they?
Yeah, like I wasn't like feeling overall good on my final run. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna be down in P8. Like I'm gonna have to make my way through the field.
Yep.
And like going around the final corner, I was like, oh, I'm 2.5 attempts up, and I got it, and I was like, yes.
Slap the thing on pole position.
Yeah, and on the race was pretty, you know, difficult to stay in front of Silderford. Was it Silderford and Marcus, or?
Yes, it was Silderford and Marcus. Yep.
Yeah, before the pit stops, because I felt like I had a lot of understeer in the car because I had a lot more fuel in the car.
Yep.
But I think when Silderford Pity got held up by the slower cars, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, maybe he did have a few spins as well over the course of that race, which ultimately pushed him back. I think his first spin was at the exit of turn 12, the sweeping right-hander in the third sector before the chicane. He had a spin there, or a half spin rather, and yeah, his race sort of fell apart after that, and he never really recovered. So you were sort of stuck out by yourself for a bit.
Yeah, I didn't really think like it was gonna be like an overall tough race, since we do a lot of like laps around here in Spain, like just anywhere 5 lappers. It's nearly in every league season, so I knew what we were going into. Like I knew like, it wasn't going to be an overall tough race, but like it's tough for the drivers. Like definitely trying to keep them behind you and like keeping time.
Yep.
And that. But yeah, going back to my actual race, so like yeah, I didn't like the hards at all. I felt they were just so blocky. They felt for some reason.
Okay.
They had grip, but just understeer as and.
Yep.
Yeah, I was basically pooping myself when I kept sawing the lap time come down to Marcus and P2, but honestly, it wasn't that bad. I think I lost like 2 attempts, got it back up, lost 2 attempts, got it back up. So.
Yeah, it was sort of fluctuating between you two, and no, it only really came down on the final lap, which I'm also like Marcus said he used a lot of battery on that last lap. I would have guessed that you backed off quite a bit as well.
Yeah, I was literally like telling myself like I'm just going to take this easy, just going to take it home.
Yeah, I think anyone in your position with the gap that you had in hand would have done exactly the same thing. So, because yeah, it just looked like Ferrari Pro from the bits that we saw, because obviously you were by yourself for a lot of that race, so we didn't catch too much of you. But it just looked like a very comfortable, very clean drive from you. Was that the case?
Yeah, it was kind of like, I think I said it in last week, it's going to be like a Sunday cruise, not last week's. So, yeah, it did feel like a Sunday cruise, but at the same time I was under like a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
You know, like I didn't want to make a mistake in that. But I didn't make a mistake, and that's overall what got me to win, I reckon.
Yeah,
I reckon
absolutely.
That's the best race I've ever done. I had basically no problems apart from understeer. Had a perfect strategy, just all fell into my hand pretty good.
Got to the lead, made the tyres work, did everything you needed to do, and you won the race. Just like Miami. So
yeah.
Currently you're on pretty good form, I'd say. You're coming back into this. And I think you'll close the championship gap up to Costa as well. By a little bit, you're closing the gap. So it's looking interesting.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting end to the season, I reckon. It'll be like last season, but I think there'll be more of us involved, to be honest.
It looks insanely competitive between you lot at the moment, and tonight proved that. So KD, have you got anything to ask our race winner?
Gosh, nothing really much other than you did a hell of a job, Ferrari. And I'm honestly, it's honestly going to look like Lane said. It's looking intriguing. This season, I could probably relate to a little bit of this championship. Like even the America Series, I find our championship now to be real. It doesn't seem like it too much, but I feel like it's close. I feel like anyone can win it in that. And I knew it was going to be like that.
A lot of the tiers I've looked at lately, like they're really close in like lap times and all that. Like whether it's separated by like 5 tenths or something like that, it's still fairly close.
Well, the top 10 here was separated by, I think it was at the end about 3 tenths. So
Holy shit!
yeah, it was tight. It was tight. Like top 4 was separated by a tenth. So
Jesus Christ!
800ths, I should say. 800ths.
Oh bloody hell! That's awesome.
It was awesome, and you snagged pole by 0.002 of a second. So it wasn't much, but you got it. So
yeah. I just want to include also my boy Jackie Miller won Mategi today.
Yeah, he won at Mategi. Yeah,
he dominated that, and I was having a feeling like, red car, not a bike, but a red car.
It's a red car.
It's
Italian. Surely it's on.
The exact same thing. So yeah, I'm really happy about that.
Yeah,
Jack, if you're watching this, which I doubt, but good win.
I know. Mella put together a hell of a ride over in Japan. Took the win.
So happy about
First win since Le Mans last year. So
yeah,
been a while. No, he put it together beautifully, and you put it together tonight very beautifully as well. So well done on that. But one final question for you. You won the past 2 races at Miami and Spain. Will it be a 3-peat at Singapore?
I don't know. Like again, we'll have to wait and see because Singapore is one of my favourite tracks, but it's not so kind to me. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I'll have some practice through the week, and we'll see what we can do.
No, I have a very similar love-hate relationship with Interlagos. I love the track, it hates me, so sort of how it works. So best of luck then for next week, but congratulations on another fine performance and for winning the Spanish Grand Prix. Well done.
Thank you, Lane and KD, and congrats to T2 and 3 for Marcus and Vengeance. Well done, boys.
But, I think KD, they'll wrap everything up. Not a bad day here in Spain.
Nah, not a bad day, and I enjoyed another week of commentary with you. Definitely.
Yeah, no. It was very helpful to have you alongside me once again, KD. Your help is dearly appreciated. But I think, folks, with everything said and done, it is time for us to wrap up the stream. I've been Lane Everingham. My co-commentator, as always, is KD1997. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for round 6 of the championship at the Marina Bay Street Circuit for the Singapore Grand Prix. Until then, it's goodbye.